Alright, welcome to geometry and my first video for this class. A lot of what we're going to be doing in this class is going to be learning about some new things and then showing and proving that we know what exactly it was that the book just showed us. So just to give you a heads up, understand right away, not a whole lot like algebra. Geometry is more about knowing and understanding how to notate things, how to label things, and how to show that you understand things in different ways. So this is going to be a class where you're solving for a variable less and basically using words more. You're going to be doing proofs. So before we get too far into the subject, what we have to do is talk about the most basic things of geometry in Chapter 1, and the first section here in Task 1 is to learn how to label points, lines, and planes. So again, the objectives for this lesson: identify and label all the basic parts of shapes, and then also be able to construct all the basic parts, and we'll get into that as we go. The state standard here, I'll have it up on the board when we go ahead and get into the lesson, but the state standard is actually not a high school state standard yet, and you'll see that a lot in this first chapter. A lot of your state standards will say 6 point something or 8 point something, meaning you've probably seen this stuff all before, but attention to detail is going to be a lot more specific in this class, obviously. So to start off with here, you guys can read through this along with me here. The big thing is the notation, and kids miss this stuff more often than anything. The notation for points, lines, and planes, it's all a little bit different. Note here, a point, it doesn't have a dimension, so there are infinitely many points in any one given shape because it doesn't have a dimension. So make sure that you understand that a point is just a dot. Make sure you have your capital letter with your dot there, and that's how you label it. And when you label a point, I don't often make the kids write out point A. If they just write the word or just write the point or the capital letter there, most of the time I understand what they're talking about. Some things that you do need to make sure that you label. So again, a line has one dimension. It's represented by a line with two arrowheads. Again, here's what it's talking about. The line with two arrowheads right there. Don't just put AB with no line above it. That doesn't denote a shape or a line at all. It denotes a distance. So make sure that when it asks you to label or talk about a line in your homework, to have that notation. Also note this line has this cursive L in the corner, so there are actually three names for this line. You could call it line L, line AB as such, or line BA. When you have the arrows on either end, it means that this continues on forever and ever, so it doesn't matter which one comes first. That line goes on forever in both directions. Last thing here, and again, this is something, just a side note here, just to make sure you watch for. See here that this M does not have a point by it. So that means that it's not a point on this plane. It's not even this vertice of the plane. What it is they gave this plane a name, and it's plane M. Anytime you name a plane, just because of the rules of a line, you have to name at least three non-collinear points, and we'll get into collinear and non-collinear here in just a moment. So again, the rules of a line is through any 2 points, there exists exactly one line. So keep that in mind as we go on in the future. It doesn't matter if there's a line there. If there's 2 points and it asks you if there's a line there, through any 2 points is exactly one line. It doesn't have to be drawn to be true. Now, through any 3 points not on the same line or non-collinear is what it's saying here, there's exactly one plane. So we could call this plane ABC, plane CBA, plane CAB. It doesn't matter how you name it. It just has to have 3 vertices that are not on the same line, and clearly A, B, and C are not on the same line. You can't draw one line that would connect all 3 of those. Down here at the bottom, we have kind of some definitions that are important. Collinear and coplanar. Again, collinear points are points that all lie on the same line, and coplanar points are points that are all on the same plane. So as I go through this here, I want to challenge you to try and answer these things before I do. So again, note when we're going through here, notation is key. You should know how to do this for your homework as well. So make sure that you're kind of also trying to do this on your own. So the first thing it says to identify the following, and it says 3 points. So I could say basically anything but the R, the lowercase m, and the lowercase n. Those are all points. So I could say point, well, let's just say points to make it short. Points S, V, and T, and we're going to put capital letters there. Those are all points. 2 lines, there's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could say line N, and again, this N right here denotes that line. Again, line N can also be denoted QP. If you're making a line, make sure you have the arrowheads on both. A second line that we could label, let's just say, to make it short, let's say ST. And we have to put the arrowheads on both ends. So there's 2 lines that we've labeled, one plane in 2 different ways. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. Let's do this. We want to label one plane in 2 different ways. So we have one way of labeling it would be plane R. Also, another way that we could say, we have to write the word plane, and when we're naming it, we have to have 3 non-collinear points. So as long as you don't say SPT, you're probably okay. You could say SVT, SPV, as long as you don't say Q in there, you're okay. So there's lots of different ways we could name this. I'm just going to say SVP. So SVP. Those are my vertices that I want to name that plane with. Again, you need at least 3 to name a plane. All right, name a point that is coplanar with T. So we have all these points that are in the plane. It can also be collinear. If it's collinear, it's coplanar. So you could say one of 3 different things. You could say P, S, or V. Q is not in plane R, so you cannot say Q. But any of those other points would work just fine, so I'll just put S over here. Name a point S. Name a point that is not coplanar. Well, again, we just said Q is not coplanar. Now, one thing to note here, sometimes students will make the mistake and they'll put R for one of those coplanar points. Again, remember, R doesn't have a point next to it. It's not a label for a vertice yet. In the future, you'll see some points that are labeled on vertices, but they'll be on the outside of shapes. So keep in mind, unless you see a dot in these early chapters, that's not a point, that's a name for the plane. So Q is the only one that is not in this plane. You can see here that this line is not on the plane. It's cutting through it, point P, and has dotted. When it's dotted, that means it's on the other side of the shape and that you can't see it. True or false, Q and P are collinear. So if I look at this, Q and P are collinear. I would go ahead and say that that's true. True or false, V and S are collinear. So again, remember the rules of a line say through any 2 points there's a line. Now keep in mind, there's not a line drawn there, but because it's only 2 points, we could always draw that line. It doesn't matter how it looks, we just know if there's 2 points, there's a line. So I kind of tried to trip you up on that one. That one's answer is actually true also. Wrapping this up, we have a couple different properties here that we want to go over, basically definitions. So we have a segment. It's a little bit different from a line, and so when we label a segment and when we talk about a segment, the notation needs to be different as well. So previously we talked about line AB, and it could also be written as line BA, but the notation looks like this up here with the arrows on both ends. Segments are a little bit different. They stop and start at a point. So again, when you're talking about segment AB and segment BA, it doesn't matter. The arrows don't go on either side. So you could do either one. That's the same segment. It has the same length from one end to the other, regardless of where you start. A little bit different is rays. So if I want to talk about a ray, I can't interchange them. It depends on which way this thing is going. So if my endpoint for this first one is A and it continues on forever and ever through B, I'm going to label my ray like this and just put the arrow over the B. And vice versa, if it starts at B and continues on and on forever through A, I'm going to label it like this. Do not do this. I'm going to show you this now, and I'm going to do it in red because students like to try and mess with me sometimes, and they do something goofy like this. That's not how we label rays. The end point's always the first point, and then you write the point that it continues on through second. So don't label ray BA like that. That's not correct. Okay, and then opposite rays, this is just something to kind of ponder here. But if a point C lies between 2 points A and B, so you can see here in this diagram, we have this point C somewhere in the middle. It doesn't really matter where it is. If it lies between A and B, then the rays that are formed, CA and ray CB, are called opposite rays. Note that these are not opposite rays here. So if I had another point here, let's call D a point. CD and CA are not opposite rays. They need to be collinear in order to be opposite rays. So keep that in mind for your homework. Last thing here before I let you continue on for the day. The diagram shows a juice box named two different planes that contain QP. So we have this line here, and I'll kind of highlight the line QP. So QP is there. Let's choose a different color. Let's not do green on green. So we have QP, and you guys need to label two planes that contain that line. I'm going to give you a couple seconds here to think about it and label it correctly. Okay, so there are only two planes that contain that line. We have the first one here, and I'll label it plane. And you can just go ahead and use those 2 points, QP, and then let's say M. That would be this front shape right here. I'll shade it red. That's this shaded front side right here. And the other one that contains it is this bottom yellow one. So the way we would do that one is we would say plane Q, P, and just pick one of those points that are on that plane on the bottom. You could say S or R, it doesn't matter. So those are two planes that contains that line. Again, guys, there's lots and lots of different questions that can be thrown at you here. Don't be surprised if you see some ones where they throw some algebra problems at you, just to kind of make sure you still have those things and you understand them. But that's all that is for this lesson, and really the first chapter is pretty basic, so I'll let you guys get to it. Good luck.